In the heart of a sun-drenched valley where golden wheat fields swayed like waves, there stood a windmill older than memory itself. It was home to an aging miller and his 3 sons. When the miller passed away, he left behind all that he had divided among his children. The eldest son inherited the windmill, the second received the donkey, and the youngest, a quiet boy named Theo, was given only one thing: a cat. The cat sat calmly as Theo stared at him, puzzled and sad. "What can I do with a cat?" Theo murmured. "I cannot eat you, I cannot sell you. What use are you?" But the cat, who had eyes sharp as emeralds and a voice smooth as velvet, stood up on his hind legs and spoke clearly. "Master," said the cat, "give me a pair of boots and I shall make you rich beyond your dreams." Theo blinked, surprised but intrigued. And so, with the last coins in his pocket, Theo bought a fine pair of leather boots for the cat. They were stitched with silver thread, polished to a shine, and fit perfectly. From that day forward, the cat was known as Puss in Boots. "I will make you famous," Puss declared. "We shall tell the kingdom that you are the Marquis of Carabas, a nobleman of great wealth and charm." "But I'm just a poor boy," Theo protested. "And yet," Puss grinned, "with the right story people will believe anything." Puss set off into the forest with his staff and bag, hunting birds and rabbits with the skill of a seasoned woodsman. Then, dressed in his shiny boots, he marched straight to the palace gates. "I bring a gift from the noble Marquis of Carabas," he announced to the guards, placing a plump pheasant at their feet. Again and again, Puss returned with presents: wild boar, fresh fish, baskets of fruit, all supposedly from the mysterious Marquis. Soon, everyone in the kingdom was talking about the generous and wealthy nobleman who lived in the countryside. One summer morning, the king decided to take a ride through the countryside. As he passed along the dusty road, Puss led Tioho Stillwar Ragstow a shallow part of the river. "Quick," Puss whispered, "strip down and swim across. Hide behind the rocks." As Theo obeyed, Puss began to scream, waving his arms. "Help! Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning!" The king heard the commotion and ordered his carriage to stop. "Save the poor nobleman!" cried Puss dramatically. When the king saw the young man-soaked but noble-looking being pulled from the water, he offered him warm towels, wine, and a place in his royal carriage. Puss followed closely, praising his master endlessly. Oh, how brave the Marquis is! How handsome, how wise! By the end of the journey, the king had invited Theo to dine at the palace. Now, not far from the village stood an ancient castle, dark and brooding atop a hill. It belonged to a cruel ogre, feared throughout the land. He had the power to change into any creature he desired. Puss knew that if he could outwit the ogre, he could claim the castle and its riches for his master. He approached the castle boldly and knocked on the heavy iron door. "Who dares disturb me?" roared the ogre, opening the door just enough to peer out. "A humble traveler," Puss bowed. "I've heard tales of your greatness. Can it truly be that you can change into any beast?" "Of course," laughed the ogre, puffing out his chest. With a flash of light, he turned into a lion, mighty and terrifying. Puss gasped in awe. "Amazing! But surely you cannot become something smaller? Like, say, a mouse?" The ogre sneered. "Watch me!" And in an instant he became a tiny gray mouse scurrying across the floor. Puss grinned. With a quick leap, he pounced and swallowed the mouse whole. Then, locking the door behind him, he declared the castle now belonged to the Marquis of Carabas. But the ogre's castle was no ordinary dwelling. Hidden beneath its foundations lay a secret vault sealed by magic, a vault said to contain the scepter of the Forgotten Kings, a relic of immense power. Puss discovered this when he overheard whispers in the walls at night. Determined to unlock the vault, he ventured into the enchanted forest, where trees spoke and shadows danced. There he met Morgana, a cunning witch who guarded the secrets of the scepter. "To open the vault," she said, "you must answer my riddle or face the wrath of the forest." Puss accepted the challenge. "I fly without wings, I cry without eyes. I die when I touch fire, yet I am born from it. What am I?" Puss thought for a moment, then smiled. "Smoke," he answered. The witch frowned but nodded. "Very well, you may pass." Beneath the castle, Puss found the scepter, a glowing rod of crystal and gold. He brought it back to Teo, who unknowingly held the key to the throne. Word spread quickly of the ogre's demise and the discovery of the scepter. When the king learned that the Marquis of Carabas possessed such a powerful artifact, he summoned him to the capital for a grand event. The Tournament of Champions. Knights from across the realm gathered to prove their worth. The winner would earn the hand of the beautiful Princess Elodie and the right to sit beside the king. Teo was reluctant. He was no knight. But Puss had a plan. "Leave the fighting to me," he said. Dressed in armor too large for him, Puss entered the tournament disguised as a wandering knight. With wit and agility, he defeated champion after champion, dodging swords, leaping over shields, and even disarming a dragon with a clever trick involving a mirror and sunlight. In the final round, Puss faced Sir Roland, the king's most fearsome warrior. The duel was fierce, but Puss used the scepter's power to create illusions, phantom knights, fake arrows, and a sudden gust of wind that blew Sir Roland off balance. Victory was his. With the tournament won, the king prepared for the wedding of his daughter to the Marquis of Carabas. But on the eve of the ceremony, a rival noble accused Teo of being a fraud. "You are nothing but a pauper," he shouted. "That cat speaks better than you." All fell silent. Teo looked at Puss, fear in his eyes. Puss stepped forward. "It is true," he said. "My master was once a poor boy, but he has earned this crown not by birthright, but by courage, honor, and kindness." He raised the scepter. "The scepter of the Forgotten Kings chooses only the worthy. If Theo were unworthy, it would have turned to dust in his hands." The crowd gasped as the scepter glowed brighter than ever. Even the king bowed his head. "My son," he said, "you are more a king than I." On a bright spring morning, Teo was crowned king of the realm. Puss stood proudly beside him, still wearing his shining boots, now as the royal advisor. The people rejoiced, and Princess Elodie took Theo's hand with a smile. Together, they ruled wisely and kindly, with Puss always nearby, ready with a clever idea, a daring plan, or a warning whisper in the king's ear. And though many tried to steal the scepter or challenge the throne, none could match the cunning of Puss in Boots.